Now you're ready for this. Let's talk about some very important issue. I know when it comes to polygamy, it becomes like a huge buzzword for many people, whether the Muslim and non-Muslims. It is like profusely rejected and looked upon as something lowly, downgrading whoever is involved with it, woman is involved with it, or the man is involved with it. Let us talk about this. First of all, I've been involved in polygamy. I've been a wife of a man who had 2 other wives at the time. And I really took a really deep look at this whole process and how that affected me or could affect other people and other women. What are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, and how that affects, how does that come into the feminist issue that we're talking about. So I'm going to get into this. Why is it that I consider polygamy? At the time when the issue came up, when I met a man that already had 2 wives, at that time I was very interested to learn Islam. That was at the beginning when I had come to Islam, and I was, it was over 25 years ago, so I was interested to learn. But I lived in tiny little towns in Northern California with no Muslims around, and basically we had a lot of mountain lions and bears and lions and wild animals around, with very small population in a little town where I lived. And just so happened that I met this man, and he was very willing to help me, teach me, but told me that he has a very hard life. Really, he cannot even, be around because he has other responsibilities. And long story, my main interest at that time was learning Islam from someone in his caliber. He was a scholar, Islamic scholar, and I considered that this was something that God sent to me, because for a long time before I married him, I had come to Islam. I didn't have anybody to talk to teach me, to do anything. All I had was just this one Quran that I had bought with my ex-husband when we got married, when he became a Muslim, which I mentioned before, that basically that was a formality to get married, not because he was interested in Islam, because he had to become a Muslim in order to marry me. Okay, I decided maybe it's a good idea to sit right here by this qadr in Arabic. It is this big giant pot that in the morning the woman put all the food stuff in it, and it cooks all day, and in the evening when the husband comes back from work, food is ready for him and the children. So you're right there, you're going to say, oh look, this is a good example here. The woman was cooking all day, she's troubling, and then at night the man comes and sits and eats, and that's it. What about the man out there in the field? He was working all day. He was also tired, equally tired. So, it's really easy. Of course, I know there are tribes that the women work all day. They take care of the sheep and everything else, and the children. The men sit around this, pipe and smoke and do nothing, and they're served. This is sick. This is something that Islam has nothing to do with it. It's a cultural thing. But why is it that if a woman works all day and then she feeds the husband and the children at night, this is considered like unfairness? In Islam, we consider something really interesting, important. If each person in the family does their God-given duty unconditionally, not expecting something in return from the person, but is because they're doing it for the sake of God, because they're doing it to raise a healthy family. A woman works hard all day so that the family, when they come together, food is there, the house is ready, everything is prepared. I'm laughing because my poor cameraman, he has a couple of plants behind him. Every time he turns, he gets pricked by something. See, it's a man. Now, if it was a woman, would have thought about it. He could have gone just on this side, bent a little bit, he would not have gotten pricked by the cactuses. Anyway, never mind. Back to the issue of equality. We don't need to be equal everywhere. We don't need to be equal in everything. She is okay in majority of cases. A woman that has a healthy mind and good spiritual and physical, mind and body. She knows she does things to please God and for the sake of God, and reward she expects is from God, not from anyone else. In Islam, we believe that when we do something for the sake of God, that is considered worship. Even when she changes the diaper, dirty diaper of her child, this is considered worship because she does that for the sake of God. But if she does it because, oh, I'm a mother, I have to do it anyhow, this is dirty, it's okay to do it just because you're a mother. But if we put the purpose, elevate the purpose, doing this for God's sake, this becomes a purpose. A husband that goes all day, toils in the heat, in the sun, in the business world, in whatever stress, does it because he wants to bring rest, he wants to bring sustenance to the family, help raise a godly family. His actions are all considered worship. So when we look at it from this light, there is no complaints. If the woman cannot do her duty, then it's the husband's job to help her, assist her, get help for her. There is no pushing anyone in any direction. There is calmness, there is a satisfaction, there's a sense of I'm doing this for God's sake, you're doing this for God's sake, let us do our best. It's not a matter of equality. Coming back to my sake, my issue with the polygamy, I went ahead and married this man because my number one aim was I needed Islamic knowledge, and he was a scholar, the best, one of the best scholars that existed. I didn't know at the time that, I was already covered, but not wearing the outer garments like this. I didn't know at the time that he wanted to wanted me to cover my face. I could not talk with men. I could not go out of the house. There's so many I could not. It was like shocking to my system. How could this be? He brought his version of Islam from Saudi Arabia to California. How could that be? If I told you all the restrictions that I had, you could not actually imagine. So, Raya, how could you stay with this marriage more than one day? I stayed with it 7.5 years. Why do you think I did this? I tell you, before this marriage, for years I kept praying, asking God to break me in pieces, and rebuild me the way you like. God, the way you like, not the way Raya like. Because I had become a hard-headed businesswoman, very strong-willed. I do anything I wanted to do. I didn't have to ask anybody to do anything. It was basically I became a man in a body of a woman in terms of actions, the willpower, everything else. Very much a woman's lib, very much a feminist, because the society turned me that way. But after I became the ultimate feminist a woman can reach, at least in my level, I realized I had nothing. All of this meant nothing. I wanted to be soft again. I wanted to be a wife again. I wanted to be a mother again. I kept praying, asking God to purify me. He brings a man out of nowhere into my house in the mountain. Within 1 week of meeting him, I was married to him. So with all these restrictions, I never complained. I complied. I did not complain, I complied. Why? Because I felt, I asked God, He brought to me a person that would invoke this kind of a feeling in me. I knew obeying husband is a duty of a wife. But here's a California business broker woman that was one day driving a Rolls Royce and was this and that. How can somebody else tell her what to do? No, I had to change my mentality. This did not come very easily, especially with my kids, because they got the second-hand version of the restriction, although he was not restrict on them. But there's many things I could not do anymore. I lost a lot in my properties. I had to sell with loss. I gave up a lot of things because I knew that being involved in this type of business did not please him. And at the end, I gave up a lot of things. To make a long story short, our marriage ended not because I was fed up with his way of restriction, because of other circumstances that came up that left me no other choice but having to leave this marriage. But so much I came out of this marriage that was good, and it was breaking my spirit of being this strong feminist person into learning to be an obedient wife, submissive wife, to be a soft, have a soft personality, look at the way I raise my children differently. And at the end of the day, I feel when I look back at it, this was many years ago when our marriage ended, when I look back at it, if I had to do it again, I would have done it again, because the Raya that you see today with peace and tranquility did not exist at that time. There are more to come, and I am not sure when I'm going to video again, but please keep watching for the next video. And really thank you very much for being with me, and feel free to write comment underneath the videos, but please look at everything in a positive way. Do not send any hate messages or obnoxious messages, because I would delete it. The purpose of this is to bring peace and tranquility within the human mind and heart. I have expressed some things to you that maybe you didn't know, or maybe you have questions about. Communicate with me in that kind of a context. I am more than happy to respond to you. By the way, if you like these videos that you see, just click the like, and also join my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.